Welcome, my name is Vishal Tekshilani. Today I'm speaking to the CEO of Bubs Australia, Kristy Carr, about the company's growth prospects and what's happening in the infant formula market. Kristy, great to have you here on such short notice. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. So Kristy, Bubs Australia delivered its strongest quarter on record, a staggering 179% revenue growth. What's driven this performance?
It was indeed a very strong quarter for us. We delivered top-line revenue of 18.4 million, which resulted in a full-year revenue of 51.3 million, which, as you said, is 179% growth. So we're very pleased with that growth trajectory. It certainly exceeded our expectations. Really, if you look at our growth strategy, it's underpinned by 4 key pillars. The first one being our domestic market penetration, and we had lots of growth in that space, both in our existing core retail partners, being Coles, Woolworths, Big W and Costco, but we also launched onto the Amazon platform and rolled out all of our products into the Chemist Warehouse network nationally. From our second pillar is around product innovation, and we launched a whole range of organic toddler snacks during the quarter. We also developed Australia's first organic grass-fed cow milk infant formula, which will be released to market next month. In addition, we have a growth pillar based around brand awareness and impact on shelf. So we did a lot of work at revamping and modernising not just our product packaging, but all of our marketing, creative execution and content strategies. And then finally, probably the strongest growth pillar was around attraction to the China market and our global expansion into emerging Southeast Asia markets. And that's certainly where a lot of our focus has been. And if you look at that sort of growth in sales, really the core driver there is our goat milk infant formula. We're seeing that more than tripling in sales, 341% growth in the same period prior year, and even 66% growth on quarter 3. So that's really where we've focused our attention, given it's our most profitable product line and when we see the greatest opportunity for further growth in the future.
Yeah, no, excellent. Sounds like things are really going well at Bubs Australia. So I want to focus on the distribution piece. So you've had in the fourth quarter a very busy pipeline of deals, Chemist Warehouse, like you mentioned, and in China you've made headway with Alibaba, Kids Want and Being Mate.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, correct.
So if you've delivered this type of growth just in the fourth quarter, on the back of those deals, what does FY20 look like?
Yeah, well, we are very confident about a continued aggressive growth trajectory in FY20, primarily around those key partnerships. So, this last quarter in particular was a culmination of developing those relationships around our different routes to market and in each of the key channels that allow us to sell products both here at home and globally. And there's some pretty high profile, well established partners in that mix, and I think that's quite a unique approach to be able to develop those strategic relationships. Something that's not often done in the FMCG, the fast moving consumer goods retail sector. But for us, we really see it as having strategic alignment with these core partners and having them as some of our top tier on our registry really allows us to work very, very closely with them at a much deeper level than just a supply and distribution kind of margin per tin model. And I think puts us in a very strong, unique position to grow further in the new year.
Okay, so FY20 is looking quite positive. Let's talk about how Bubs articulates its strategy versus some of the peers in the market. So we've had the CEOs of A2 Milk and Blackmores on before, and if I think about those companies, A2 Milk focusing on China, Australia, New Zealand, and the United States as well. Blackmores trying to reinvent itself after what's happened. Nestle, from my understanding, entering the market and targeting lower tier Chinese cities with its infant formula products. How should investors think about how Bubs is approaching the infant formula market?
Well, I think really our sort of unique point of difference is that at the heart of our business, we play in the goat dairy landscape sector, and we're really seeing this as an emerging commodity around the world. And you know, particularly in infant formula, but goat dairy in general is just in such a rapid stage of growth in China that it's fairly well accepted that the global supply of goat milk is not going to be able to ramp up at that kind of pace. And to be in the position that Bubs Australia is in, where we own our milk pool, we have the largest goat milk pool in Australia,
Right.
The largest milking herd. We produce about 65% of all Australia's goat milk products, and we have a very substantial complementary milk pool out of New Zealand. So that not just gives us the traceability in the supply chain back to farm gate, but it gives us the security in supply to be able to scale the business to meet that demand coming out of China. And that's certainly the probably the most important attribute of that the business holds that attracted those high profile investors and strategic partners.
Okay, so focus on goats. All right, so cash reserves. Let's talk about your cash reserves. $23 million in the bank. What are you planning to do with that money?
Yeah, so it is a strong cash balance sheet, although we do have some financial commitments based on recent acquisitions, both earn-outs from the Newlac Foods acquisition and the Australia Deloraine Dairy acquisition. We also have some financial commitments that will need to be made for the working capital contribution to set up the joint venture in China, to have that in-market representation with Beingmate, all of which the details have already been disclosed to the market in recent announcements. But beyond that, we're really committed to continuing to invest in that end-to-end supply chain. We invest in maintaining quality and safety procedures and infrastructure and operating systems within the company, in people, of course. And as we grow our team, we've now got 40 in our team. It was not so long ago that we were working with under 10 employees. And then, working capital to support our forecasted inventory needs moving into FY20.
So a lot of that capital is inked in for working capital commitments.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk about risks. So it sounds like things are going really, really rosy, but what are the risks investors should be aware of? Policy, tariffs, contamination potentially?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whenever I think about risks that could come our way in the business, I always put product safety and quality at the forefront. And we've invested all of the right sort of resources, but people and processes in place to mitigate some of those risks. But that's very much high priority for us. I think the fact that we own our own milk pool, marrying up the milk, not just the growth of the milk pool to support future demand, but being able to manage the flow of the milk and redirect those milk flows in seasonal curves into other product ranges like our adult goat dairy range is very important to us, that we get that right. And then, of course, Chinese regulatory changes remains a risk to the business, but I think that's very much part and parcel of doing business in China across many product categories and industries, and that's something that we've become accustomed to, and we just need to make sure we're very well placed as a business, both with our partners and the way we operate, so that we can quickly adapt to any future changes. But certainly the most recent regulatory changes we have in place haven't hindered our outlook on the business.
Okay, fantastic. Christy, thank you so much for coming in and
Thank
sharing
you.
all those insights. Really appreciate it.
Welcome. Great to be here.
No worries. I hope you found this video informative. Now, please remember, what we talked about today isn't investment advice. If you're thinking about investing in Bubs Australia, any infant formula company, or any security for that matter, it's really important that you do your research, and please consider seeking financial advice. My name is Vishal Tekshanani, and I'll see you next time.